Close your eyes and take a long, unhurried breath. Imagine yourself arriving in Paris at twilight, the hour when the day loosens its grip and the city shifts into something softer, more intimate. The last colors of the sun linger overhead, streaks of lavender, rose, and fading gold stretching across the sky as though brushed there by a patient hand. The air holds the warmth of the day, a gentle embrace on your skin, while hints of night drift in, cooler, calmer, carrying with them the fragrances of the city. You catch the sweetness of pastries cooling in faraway bakeries, the faint floral note of perfume that lingers after someone has passed, and beneath it all, the earthy breath of the Seine. The cobblestones beneath your feet are still warm, their uneven surfaces worn smooth by countless footsteps through centuries. The hum of the city is quieting now. Carriages, bicycles, footsteps, laughter, all soften into a background murmur that feels like a heartbeat, steady and unhurried. Ahead of you, the Louvre rises, vast and solemn, a palace that seems to stretch forever, its scale so immense that it fills not only the horizon, but also your imagination. Its presence feels less like a building and more like a living being, one that has stood watch for centuries, absorbing the stories of Paris and holding them quietly in its stone heart. The facades glow faintly in the dusk, each tall window catching the last strokes of daylight, their glass glimmering like softened jewels. The evening sky above is brushed in shades of violet and deepening blue, a canvas against which the palace stands in timeless relief. The lamps fixed along the walls flicker into life one by one, golden halos that illuminate carved cornices and sculpted garlands, revealing details you might miss by day, but that now emerge slowly, dreamlike, as the light fades. Arched doorways rise from the courtyard, dark and shadowed, like gateways into forgotten worlds. Above them, columns soar with quiet dignity, each one etched with grooves that speak of the hands that shaped them centuries ago. Statues of kings, queens, and guardians gaze down from their places high above, their stone faces softened by shadow, their expressions unreadable yet strangely comforting, as if they too are keeping vigil over the night. Every surface here carries memory, weathered limestone that has felt the rain and sun of countless seasons, steps worn faint by millions of footsteps, doorways touched by monarchs, guards, and visitors across ages. You can almost feel the layers of time pressing gently against your skin, as though the air itself is thick with stories. You let your thoughts drift backward. In the 12th century, this was not yet a palace of splendor, but a fortress, its walls built to shield Paris from invaders. You imagine heavy stone battlements rising above a rough moat, soldiers pacing with torches, their armor catching glints of firelight. The echo of their footsteps still seems to linger here, faint but persistent. As time passed, the fortress softened into a palace, its chambers filling with velvet draperies, chandeliers, and whispers of intrigue. Kings and queens wandered these very courtyards, some in triumph, others in sorrow, while musicians played beneath the vaulted ceilings and courtiers whispered secrets into the shadows. You imagine the rustle of silk skirts trailing across these stones, the gleam of candlelight flickering across gilded frames, the mingled perfume of roses and burning wax. Every corner holds echoes of these lives, invisible but present, woven into the very fabric of the building. Now, the Louvre is not a fortress and not a royal palace, but the world's largest museum, its walls sheltering not only objects of beauty, but fragments of humanity's collective memory. Masterpieces from every age and continent dwell here, paintings that capture fleeting expressions, sculptures that immortalize ideals, artifacts that tell of vanished civilizations. Standing here at night, without rush, without the press of crowds, you can feel all those layers at once. It is as though the stones themselves breathe gently with you, exhaling centuries of memory into the quiet air. You are not a visitor, not an intruder. You are simply another soul welcomed into the continuum of its story. At the heart of this grand courtyard, the glass pyramid rises, sharp and elegant, a luminous jewel cradled by centuries of stone. Its geometry is clean, precise, a contrast to the ornate facades that surround it, yet the harmony is undeniable. The structure glows from within as night deepens, its interior lights spilling outward in radiant streams, casting shimmering reflections across the polished stones beneath your feet. From every angle, it seems to change character. From one side, a beacon; from another, a prism that gathers the sky, the palace, and your own reflection into a single image. You notice the surface of the glass, 673 panes in total, each one holding a fragment of color and light. Some capture the faint lavender of the last sunset streaks. Others hold the golden hue of lamps mounted on the palace walls, while still others seem to dissolve into the deepening blue of night. Together, they weave a shifting mosaic, never the same from one breath to the next. Around the pyramid, the fountains send up gentle arcs of water, their ripples touched by light, so that they shimmer as though scattered with silver dust. The sound of their falling streams is soft and rhythmic, like whispered conversation carried on the breeze. Standing here, you sense no conflict between the old and the new. The pyramid does not rise in defiance of history, but in communion with it. It is the companion of the palace, a symbol that Paris holds both its past and its present together, never choosing one over the other, but allowing both to exist in perfect harmony. You feel it in your chest, this balance of eras, and it soothes you. It tells you that nothing is ever truly lost. Time does not erase. It layers, it deepens, it transforms. As you linger, the courtyard becomes a sanctuary of stillness. The air is cool and calm, tinged with the faint scent of wet stone, distant blossoms, and the lingering sweetness of bread from a bakery closing somewhere nearby. Your footsteps, when you shift, echo gently across the stones, magnified in the silence. Above you, the sky has darkened into a velvet expanse, pricked with the first fragile stars. They shine faintly between drifting clouds, mirrored in the smooth glass of the pyramid. For a moment, you feel as though the entire universe is gathered here. Earth and sky, past and present, silence and memory. You let your gaze wander from the glowing pyramid to the facades around it. Each wing of the palace stretches outward, symmetrical and grand, its windows now lit from within like watchful eyes. You imagine curators, perhaps, working late, or security guards pacing gently, their footsteps part of the museum's nightly rhythm. Even without seeing inside, you can feel the treasures held there. The enigmatic smile of the Mona Lisa, steady and serene. The winged Victory, forever on the edge of flight. The Venus de Milo, calm in her timeless grace. They are here as guardians of beauty, reminders that human hands and hearts, across centuries, have always reached towards something more, something lasting. Around you, the courtyard settles deeper into night, until even the faint sounds of the city beyond, footsteps, bicycle wheels, the murmur of distant traffic, fade into near silence. The Louvre holds you gently in its embrace, not asking for anything, only offering a stillness you can sink into. You close your eyes for a moment, breathing in the air, and when you open them again, the pyramid seems brighter, the fountains softer, the palace walls even more immense. You feel very small, and yet entirely safe, as though you have become part of the story yourself. Time seems to slow. The square no longer feels like stone and glass, but like a dream held in place by memory. The Louvre does not fade when you turn away. It lingers in you, a presence you can carry forward. And as you finally move on, following the faint murmur of the Seine calling from beyond, you do so with the certainty that this place has given you something, a calmness, a continuity, a reminder of beauty that endures. Each step away feels light, as though you are walking not into the night, but into the embrace of something eternal. You step closer, moving into the courtyard. The air is hushed, reverent, as though the space itself asks you to slow down, to breathe more deeply. During the day, this place would be alive with footsteps and chatter, the shuffle of tourists and the hum of cameras. But tonight, it belongs to you. The square stretches wide, the stones gleaming faintly, empty, yet full of presence. You look upward, where the facades rise in perfect symmetry, adorned with intricate details. Balustrades, sculptures, cornices, every line a testament to the hands that shaped them centuries ago. Lanterns glow on their walls, light catching the gilded details and throwing long shadows across the square. You can almost imagine the silhouettes of kings and queens crossing the courtyard long ago, their robes trailing, their footsteps echoing on these same stones. Then you imagine stepping inside. The doors give way to cool marble halls, vast and echoing, where art lines the walls like an endless conversation across time. Your footsteps are soft, almost soundless, as though the space itself absorbs noise. The ceilings soar above, painted with scenes of myth and glory, gold leaf catching even the faintest glimmers of light. The Mona Lisa waits in her quiet frame, her eyes steady, her smile forever secret, as though she knows more than she will ever tell. The winged Victory of Samothrace towers above the staircase, her wings unfurled, her presence full of motion even in stillness. The Venus de Milo stands in her calm grace, timeless beauty carved in stone, her elegance unchanged by centuries. You do not need to rush, do not need to see them all. They surround you in silence, not demanding attention, but offering comfort. Each piece a reminder that beauty endures beyond time. Artists once filled these streets with song and paint, their laughter lingering, their spirit playful and kind. You feel it still, mingling with the night air, a reminder that beauty thrives in quiet corners. From the foot of the Eiffel Tower, the night is still alive with quiet shimmer. The iron lattice above you glows in golden light, every rivet and beam illuminated like a constellation drawn down to earth. Standing here, you feel both small and safe, as though the tower itself is keeping watch. Yet beyond Paris, something else waits, an echo of grandeur, a vision of kings and queens, the Palace of Versailles. Tonight, you will let your journey drift outward, away from the heart of Paris, along tree-lined avenues and through gentle landscapes, until you arrive at that legendary home of royalty and gardens that seem endless. You begin the journey as the tower slowly recedes behind you. Perhaps you imagine yourself slipping into a quiet taxi, its leather seats soft, the hum of the engine steady, like a lullaby for the road. The streets of Paris pass by in a rhythm of light and shadow. Cafés with their chairs stacked neatly for the night, bakeries closing their shutters, lanterns glowing in soft pools on cobblestone streets. As the taxi carries you further from the city centre, the architecture begins to change. The tall Haussmannian facades give way to broader boulevards, lined with trees that sway gently in the night breeze. Lamps flicker across their leaves, sending ripples of gold through the branches. The Seine drifts past again, a ribbon of water, reflecting not only the stars above, but also the lights that frame its bridges. Soon, the hum of the city quiets, replaced by the slower rhythm of the suburbs, where houses sit calmly under their roofs, their gardens resting in shadow. The Louvre is not only a museum, it is a sanctuary of memory, a place where art holds you gently and whispers that humanity, despite all its storms, has always reached toward beauty. When you step outside again, the night has deepened. The pyramid glows brighter now, its light mirrored in the wet gleam of the stones, and the palace walls stand like guardians of the past. The square is calm, timeless, wrapped in silence. You linger for a moment longer, feeling the embrace of history and stillness, then turn toward the sound of water. The soft murmur of the Seine calls to you, a silver thread winding through the heart of Paris, waiting to carry you onward. The Seine flows like a silver thread through Paris, steady and calm, its waters catching the glow of the lamps along its banks. You stroll along the cobblestones that line the river, the sound of your footsteps softened against the worn stones polished by centuries of passage. The air here feels cooler, infused with the rhythm of water brushing against stone, carrying with it faint traces of riverweed, damp stone, and the sweetness of flowers spilling from balconies above. Every so often, a boat glides past, its lights glimmering softly, leaving ripples that spread like gentle sighs across the surface. You pause at the railing, the iron cool beneath your palms, and watch the reflections shimmer and dance. The golden arches of bridges, the quiet silver of the moon above, the outlines of buildings softened by night, each detail a painting alive with motion. A low horn sounds from the quay, and your gaze follows the curve of the water to where a riverboat waits. Its deck glows with amber lanterns, casting wide halos of light across the surface of the Seine. You walk toward it, feeling the anticipation rise gently within you, not hurried but drawn, as though the water itself is inviting you to step aboard. The gangway creaks softly beneath your feet as you ascend, and suddenly you are on the deck, surrounded by the hush of the night and the steady murmur of water. The city lies before you, waiting to be seen from its heart. The boat begins to move, gliding effortlessly across the dark waters. You settle into your seat, the soft hum of engines barely audible beneath the sighing current. The air carries scents that shift with every bend, warm bread from a late-night boulangerie, faint smoke curling from hidden chimneys, the perfume of flowers draped over balconies, and, occasionally, the briny whisper of the river itself. Paris unfolds along the banks like a living tapestry. The first sight that greets you is the Île de la Cité, its trees dark and leafy silhouettes against the glow of street lamps. Notre-Dame rises here, vast and solemn, its towers carved in shadow and light. Even by night, its stained glass windows catch hints of brilliance from within, glimmering like secret jewels. Gargoyles crouch at the edges, watching in silence, their presence both protective and eternal. The boat slows, as though offering you more time, and you take in the scene with a reverence that feels shared by everyone on board. Further along, bridges arc across the river, each one distinct, each one a gesture of grace. The Pont Neuf, oldest of them all, stretches broad and steady, its stone arches gleaming in the lantern glow. Lovers linger there, their figures silhouetted against the light, leaning into each other as though the bridge itself were meant to hold their secrets. The Pont Alexandre III comes later, dazzling even in the darkness, its gilded statues catching fire from the lamps, gleaming with the majesty of a past that refuses to fade. Every span seems to whisper history. Every ripple below carries centuries of footsteps and voices now dissolved into memory. The boat glides onward, and the Eiffel Tower comes into view, its lattice of iron shimmering with thousands of lights. Reflected in the river, it appears doubled, as though the water wishes to claim part of its beauty for itself. The sight is breathtaking, yet not overwhelming. It feels instead like a lullaby in gold, a gentle promise that beauty will endure, glowing even in the deepest night. Around you, passengers fall into silence, some with cameras lowered, some with hands held, all united in stillness. The boat carries you past, the tower receding slowly but lingering in the heart. It is then that you're invited below deck, where warm light spills from crystal chandeliers and tables are set with white linen, polished silver, and glassware that catches the glow like stars captured in crystal. A Michelin-starred meal awaits, the scents already teasing the air. Butter melting on hot plates, the earthiness of mushrooms, the salt-kissed sweetness of the river itself. You are guided to your seat by the window, where the river remains visible, gliding past like a silent companion to the feast. The first course arrives, escargot, prepared with garlic, parsley, and butter so rich it perfumes the entire room. The waiter places the dish before you, its aroma warm and enticing, a blend of earth and herb and indulgence. You take a fork, hesitant yet curious, and lift one of the small shells to your lips. The taste is tender, delicate, infused with the butter that drips golden across your tongue. It is unlike anything you've had before, ancient, timeless, as though it carries the story of the land itself. With each bite, the richness lingers, and the river beyond seems to move more slowly, as though savoring the moment with you. Between courses, you breathe deeply, letting the flavors mingle with the scents drifting from the riverbanks outside. The laughter of fellow diners rises gently, softened by the clink of glasses and the quiet shuffle of waiters. The next dish arrives, perhaps duck with orange glaze, the sweetness sharp and bright against the richness of the meat. Then comes a cheese course, fragrant and varied, each slice a different part of France's landscape. Finally, a dessert that glimmers like art on porcelain. Perhaps a delicate millefeuille, its pastry as airy as the Seine's ripples, or a chocolate soufflé that collapses beneath your spoon into velvet warmth. As you eat, the city continues to move past your window, one scene blending seamlessly into the next. The Musée d'Orsay looms with its great clock glowing golden in the dark. The Grand Palais arches above with its glass roof shimmering faintly, reflecting fragments of starlight. On the embankments, couples stroll slowly, their shadows lengthening across the pavement, their laughter threading faintly through the night. The world above feels both distant and close, as though you are floating in a dream, part of it yet separate. watching Paris unfurl in luminous fragments. By the time the final glass of wine is poured, a ruby Bordeaux that tastes of sun and stone, you feel completely enfolded by the evening. The hum of the boat, the rhythm of the water, the glow of the lamps, the softness of the meal, they all converge into a harmony that feels like music. You lean back in your chair, your body heavy with contentment, your mind quiet. The Seine carries you onward, its waters endless, its heart steady, as though it has been waiting for centuries to bring you this moment. When at last the boat returns to the quay, the air greets you cool and fresh, touched with the faint perfume of river blossoms. You step once more onto the cobblestones, and the city seems to breathe with you, slow and calm. Behind you, the boat fades into the night, its lanterns glowing like fireflies until they are lost around the bend. Ahead, Paris waits, its bridges arching like golden doorways, its streets winding back into mystery. You walk on, your senses filled, your heart calmed, as though the river itself has offered you a blessing. The Seine, steady and eternal, has given you not just a journey, but a memory woven deep into the fabric of night. The bridges themselves feel like guardians, each with its own character. Pont Neuf, the oldest, stands with timeless dignity, its carved faces gazing silently as centuries pass. Pont Alexandre III sparkles farther downstream, its ornate lamps casting warm pools of light, its golden statues gleaming faintly, proud and watchful against the sky. Along the riverbanks, tall plane trees stand like sentinels, their leaves rustling softly in the evening breeze. Their trunks are pale, patterned with peeling bark that seems to glow faintly under the lamplight. Lovers stroll hand in hand along the water's edge, their voices hushed, their laughter carrying softly through the night. For centuries, this river has been the lifeline of Paris, carrying merchants and wanderers, witnessing revolutions, celebrations, and quiet moments like this one. Tonight, it carries you gently forward, its waters murmuring like a lullaby. You breathe deeply, feeling your mind slow, as if the current itself carries away every trace of hurry. Following the river, your eyes are drawn to towers rising ahead, noble and steady, etched against the sky. Notre-Dame awaits. The cathedral comes into view slowly, its great facade solemn and majestic. You step closer, and the intricate details reveal themselves, the statues of saints and angels carved into stone, their features softened by centuries of rain, their eyes gazing downward with calm. The twin towers rise above you, their outlines strong against the night sky, as though the entire structure were reaching upward in a gesture of prayer. Above the central portal, the great rose window glimmers faintly even without the sun. By day, it would cast jewels of red, blue, and violet across the nave. Tonight, it is a wheel of quiet promise, resting until the dawn. The gargoyles perch high above, part guardian, part observer, their weathered forms silhouetted against the moonlight. Once practical as waterspouts, now they are eternal sentinels, keeping watch over the city below. Inside, the cathedral is hushed, vast, and resonant. The vaulted ceiling arches high above, lost in shadow, and the stone pillars stand like forest trunks, ancient and strong. Imagine the sound of the great bell, Emmanuel, which has marked coronations and moments of peace, ringing deep and low, though tonight it rests in silence. Notre-Dame has endured fire, revolution, and time itself, yet it still stands, stronger and more luminous for what it has survived. To stand before it is to feel resilience, a quiet strength that lingers long after you move on. With this calm in your heart, you turn away, the night guiding you toward a gentler stop, the glow of a cafe. The street narrows as you approach, lanterns hanging from wrought iron brackets and spilling golden circles onto the cobblestones. A cafe waits with its striped awning swaying gently, its terrace scattered with small round tables. You choose one, easing into a chair polished smooth by countless other visitors. Around you, voices murmur in French, flowing and melodic, part of the air itself. The waiter places before you a porcelain cup of café au lait, steam curling upward like a soft ribbon, and a plate with a croissant, its golden crust glistening faintly. You take a sip, the coffee warm and rich, its smoothness spreading through you like comfort itself. The croissant flakes beneath your touch, layers collapsing into airy softness that melts on your tongue. The clink of cups and the rustle of newspapers are the only interruptions, blending into the night like gentle music. Across the street, tall windows glow faintly behind shutters painted in soft shades of blue and green. Ivy trails down from window boxes, and geraniums spill scarlet blooms over their edges. A bicycle leans against a lamppost, its basket filled with flowers and folded newspapers. Inside, behind the glass counter, pastries rest like jewels, eclairs glossy with chocolate, fruit tarts glowing with strawberries and kiwi, millefeuilles stacked with impossible delicacy. A young couple shares a slice of cake nearby, their laughter soft, while an elderly man turns the fragile pages of a worn book over a tiny cup of espresso. It is a timeless scene, unchanged by decades. You sit quietly, letting the cafe's rhythm lull you. Once, artists and writers filled such places with voices and ideas, sketching or scribbling into the night. Hemingway, Sartre, Beauvoir. Their echoes are still here, though tonight the cafe asks nothing of you but to rest, to enjoy, to simply be. The candle on your table flickers gently, casting a halo of golden light over the porcelain and the crumbs of pastry. Time loosens its hold here. You linger until your cup is empty, then rise softly, carrying with you the comfort of warmth and sweetness. The streets open once more, and in the distance, a lattice of iron rises high against the night sky. The Eiffel Tower calls you closer. At first you glimpse it only above the rooftops, its iron frame delicate against the stars. As you walk, it grows taller, its size unfolding until it fills the sky, vast and intricate like lace carved in steel. The Champ de Mars stretches at its feet, lawns and pathways lying calm and quiet beneath the tower's glow. Thousands of lights sparkle across its surface in a soft shimmer, like starlight captured and held in iron. Built for the 1889 World's Fair, the tower was once dismissed, criticized as an eyesore. But now it is beloved, the very symbol of Paris, a beacon of beauty and possibility. You stand beneath it, craning your head to take in its immense height, the iron beams crisscrossing overhead in perfect geometry. The tower hums faintly, a great yet gentle presence. You imagine ascending, step by step, the city unfolding beneath you. From the viewing platform, Paris spreads outward in all directions. The Seine glimmers like a ribbon, the bridges lit with golden arches. The avenues stretch like spokes from a wheel, monuments glowing softly at their ends. From here, the city seems both endless and utterly calm, a living organism breathing slowly beneath you. You linger, gazing out over it all, your breath in rhythm with the night. When it is time, you descend gently, and the path carries you toward the Champs-Élysées. The avenue is wide, grand, lined with trees whose branches form a soft canopy above. Lights glow in neat symmetry, illuminating the way as though guiding you onward. The Arc de Triomphe rises ahead, strong and solemn, a guardian of memory. Commissioned by Napoleon to honor his armies, its carvings speak of battles and victories. Tonight, though, you need not study them. Tonight, it is simply a gateway to stillness. Beneath the arch burns the eternal flame of the tomb of the unknown soldier. It has burned since 1923, flickering but never extinguished, a symbol of memory and respect. You pause before it, watching the flame dance softly against the stone, steady as breath. The arc towers above, protective, proud. But it is the flame that holds your attention, small, enduring, eternal. If you wish, your steps might carry you farther, climbing gently into Montmartre. The streets wind upward, lanterns glowing, cobblestones uneven beneath your feet. The air is cooler here, scented faintly with ivy and fresh bread from small bakeries closing for the night. A musician plays softly on a corner, accordion notes drifting like a sigh. Each turn reveals something intimate, a shuttered shop with painted signs, a doorway framed by ivy, a balcony with iron railings trailing flowers. At the summit, Sacré-Cœur gleams white, its domes luminous against the sky. The basilica seems to float, serene and watchful, holding the city in quiet embrace. You step onto the terrace, stone cool beneath your feet, and look out. Below lies Paris, a sea of rooftops and lights stretching into infinity. The Seine glimmers silver, winding gently, and far in the distance the Eiffel Tower still shimmers, a beacon in the night. Artists once filled these streets with song and paint, their laughter lingering, their spirit playful and kind. You feel it still, mingling with the night air, a reminder that beauty thrives in quiet corners. From the foot of the Eiffel Tower, the night is still alive with quiet shimmer. The iron lattice above you glows in golden light, every rivet and beam illuminated like a constellation drawn down to earth. Standing here, you feel both small and safe, as though the tower itself is keeping watch. Yet beyond Paris, something else waits, an echo of grandeur, a vision of kings and queens, the Palace of Versailles. Tonight, you will let your journey drift outward, away from the heart of Paris, along tree-lined avenues and through gentle landscapes, until you arrive at that legendary home of royalty and gardens that seem endless. You begin the journey as the tower slowly recedes behind you. Perhaps you imagine yourself slipping into a quiet taxi, its leather seats soft, the hum of the engine steady, like a lullaby for the road. The streets of Paris pass by in a rhythm of light and shadow. Cafés with their chairs stacked neatly for the night, bakeries closing their shutters, lanterns glowing in soft pools on cobblestone streets. As the taxi carries you further from the city centre, the architecture begins to change. The tall Haussmannian facades give way to broader boulevards, lined with trees that sway gently in the night breeze. Lamps flicker across their leaves, sending ripples of gold through the branches. The Seine drifts past again, a ribbon of water, reflecting not only the stars above, but also the lights that frame its bridges. Soon, the hum of the city quiets, replaced by the slower rhythm of the suburbs, where houses sit calmly under their roofs, their gardens resting in shadow. If you prefer, you might imagine traveling instead by train, slipping into a carriage where cushioned seats welcome you. The train hums softly as it glides away from Paris, the windows framing the outskirts of the city as they blur into the countryside. The movement is smooth and steady, like a heartbeat, rocking you gently as the fields and small villages pass by. Street lamps become fewer, stars brighter. Every so often, a church spire or farmhouse appears in silhouette against the horizon before fading back into the quiet dark. However you travel, the road leads to Versailles, a place where time seems to stand still, even as the centuries roll forward. When you arrive, the palace awaits you like a dream rising out of the night. Its facade stretches wide, adorned with countless windows that glitter faintly in the moonlight. Golden gates shimmer at the entrance, their intricate designs catching every glimmer of light, as though they were woven from the very rays of the sun. The palace seems to glow from within, its long rows of windows reflecting the sky, its roof adorned with statues that gaze outward like eternal sentinels. You walk closer, your steps quiet on the wide gravel courtyards. The air here feels different, broader, more open, as though history itself has spread its wings. This was once the seat of kings, the palace of Louis XIV, the Sun King, who transformed it from a simple hunting lodge into one of the greatest symbols of power and beauty in the world. You imagine carriages arriving across the very stones where you stand now, their wheels crunching on gravel, the doors opening to reveal nobles in silks and jewels. Yet tonight, there is only calm. The vast facade stretches on, but instead of voices and footsteps, silence reigns, serene and full. Step inside in your mind, and the halls open up before you. The marble floors gleam in faint reflection, chandeliers hang like frozen constellations, and gilded mouldings frame every wall and ceiling. Each room feels like a universe of its own. In the hall of mirrors, you pause. Mirrors line one side, tall windows the other, and together they create a corridor where light seems infinite. By day, this hall would dazzle with sun, but tonight it holds a different kind of magic. Moonlight slips through the windows, its glow multiplied in the mirrors until the whole hall seems to shimmer faintly, as though caught between dream and waking. You imagine the sound of music from long ago, violins and harps echoing against the glass, the sweep of gowns across the floor, the quiet murmur of diplomacy and dance. Now it is only stillness, but the memory remains, like a soft perfume lingering in the air. From the palace, your steps lead outward, toward the gardens that stretch further than the eye can see. You walk down the great steps, into the open air where pathways fan out in every direction. Lanterns glow faintly along the main avenues, but most of the light is from the stars, scattered across the sky in quiet brilliance. The gardens of Versailles are vast, designed like a living tapestry, every hedge and fountain placed with intention. You walk along one of the wide gravel paths, lined with statues of gods and heroes, their marble forms calm in the night. Beyond, trees rise tall and ordered, their branches meeting overhead to form archways of shadow and starlight. In the distance, fountains rest. During the day, they would leap and dance, water sparkling under the sun, music filling the air. But now, they are quiet pools, their surfaces glassy and still, reflecting the stars above. The Grand Canal stretches far into the distance, its water like a silver road cutting through the gardens, leading your gaze deeper into infinity. The air here is crisp, touched with the faint scent of grass and roses, a fragrance so subtle it feels like breathing history itself. You wander at your own pace, unhurried, as the gardens reveal themselves piece by piece. A grove here, enclosed by clipped hedges, where statues whisper silently. A hidden fountain there, its basin filled with water that mirrors the moon. Every turn offers something new, yet the calm remains, a steady rhythm that seems to soothe your thoughts into stillness. You can almost hear the faint echo of footsteps from centuries ago. Courtiers strolling these same paths, their laughter rising into the air. But tonight, the gardens belong to you alone, a private world of quiet beauty. As you pause at the edge of the canal, the palace rises behind you, glowing softly in the night. Its windows shimmer, its golden gates gleam, and its sheer size reminds you of the grandeur that once defined it. Yet, in this moment, it feels less like a symbol of power and more like a cradle of calm. The vastness of the gardens, the endless reflections in pools and mirrors, the balance of architecture and nature, all of it seems to gather around you, not to overwhelm, but to hold you gently. Versailles, for all its history and majesty, becomes tonight a place of stillness, a sanctuary of open space and quiet air. When at last you turn to leave, the journey back feels softer, as though the palace and gardens have wrapped you in their calm and are sending you onward with care. Whether by taxi or train, the rhythm of the return is gentle, carrying you smoothly through the countryside. The lights of Paris begin to reappear, scattered first and then many, until the city rises once again to welcome you. Yet a part of Versailles stays with you, the memory of golden gates, mirrored halls, and gardens that stretch into the horizon. You carry it with you as you step once more beneath the glow of the Eiffel Tower, the city breathing steady all around. Versailles, with its grandeur and peace, lingers in your heart like a dream you can return to whenever you wish. And as you breathe in the Parisian night again, you know that the journey has left you calmer, steadier, ready to drift deeper into the embrace of rest. The night has deepened by the time you turn from the glowing silhouette of Versailles. The palace recedes slowly, its golden gates a final shimmer in the distance, its vast gardens folding themselves quietly into shadow. You begin the journey back toward Paris, and whether in your imagination you step into a softly humming train or settle once more into the back seat of a waiting car, the rhythm of return is unhurried, steady, comforting. If you choose the train, the carriage rocks gently as it glides through the countryside, the windows framing quiet fields where the last traces of moonlight spill across hedgerows and meadows. Villages drift past, their church spires pointing upward, their streets empty and calm. The hum of the train is like a heartbeat, even and soft, a lullaby in motion. If instead you ride in a taxi, the roads carry you along gently curving routes, the headlights illuminating trees and stone walls, sometimes catching the glint of a fox's eyes or the flutter of wings in the hedgerows. Either way, the world seems hushed, the night holding you in its wide embrace. Gradually, the outskirts of Paris appear. At first, a scattering of lights on the horizon, then streets more defined, rows of townhouses and small shops with shutters drawn. The closer you come, the more the city reawakens, not into noise, but into life. Lanterns glow warmly over the pavements. Bakeries release the first scents of bread and pastry into the air, and bicycles lean quietly against wrought iron railings. The Seine glimmers once more, winding through the city like a silver thread, reflecting bridges and street lamps. The hum of the train is like a heartbeat, even and soft, a lullaby in motion. If instead you ride in a taxi, the roads carry you along gently curving routes, the headlights illuminating trees and stone walls, sometimes catching the glint of a fox's eyes or the flutter of wings in the hedgerows. Either way, the world seems hushed, the night holding you in its wide embrace. Gradually, the outskirts of Paris appear, at first a scattering of lights on the horizon, then streets more defined, rows of townhouses and small shops with shutters drawn. The closer you come, the more the city reawakens, not into noise, but into life. Lanterns glow warmly over the pavements, bakeries release the first scents of bread and pastry into the air, and bicycles lean quietly against wrought iron railings. The Seine glimmers once more, winding through the city like a silver thread, reflecting bridges and street lamps. Paris is waiting, not bustling or demanding, but calm, timeless, as though it has been resting until your return. Your steps, or perhaps the soft wheels of the car, carry you back into the heart of the city. And there, beneath the trees that line the boulevards, a restaurant beckons. Its windows glow golden, the glass slightly misted, hinting at warmth within. Inside, tables are set with white linen and flickering candles, their flames steady against the night. The murmur of voices drifts softly through the air, low and melodic, a background of comfort. You take a seat by the window, where you can watch the street outside, quiet now, but alive with the promise of tomorrow. A waiter approaches with gentle steps, placing before you a glass of wine that catches the light, ruby and luminous, and a plate of something simple yet perfect. Perhaps roasted vegetables, tender fish, or a dish of pasta, fragrant with herbs. The flavors are balanced, delicate, filling without weight. With each bite, you feel the day recede further, leaving only calm. Around you, the restaurant feels like a sanctuary, its walls holding in warmth, its atmosphere unhurried and kind. You let your gaze drift outward once more. Through the window, the city rests in stillness. The Eiffel Tower gleams faintly in the distance, not as a spectacle now, but as a watchful companion, a lighthouse of the night. You think of all the places you have wandered, the Louvre with its treasures and history, the flowing calm of the Seine, the solemn grace of Notre-Dame, the welcoming café with its pastries, the shimmering tower itself, the dignified Arc de Triomphe, the serenity of Montmartre, and the grandeur of Versailles. Each place is now a part of you, not as a list of sights, but as a series of moments that have settled gently into your heart, like stars across a dark sky. The meal ends slowly, unhurried, the last sip of wine leaving a soft warmth within you. You step outside once more, the night air cool but welcoming. Paris breathes around you, steady and calm, its streets unfolding like a lullaby. You take a deep breath, letting the scents of the city, bread, earth, distant blossoms, settle into you. Now it is time to rest. The journey is complete, yet it lingers within you, not as something to be held tightly, but as something that will always be there when you close your eyes. Paris doesn't leave. It waits, eternal, a city of light and calm that you can return to whenever you wish. As you let the night draw you inward, the city fades gently into dream. You lie down, but your eyes remain open, listening to the muffled sounds of Paris outside. The distant hum of a passing car, the occasional echo of laughter carried down the street, the faint call of footsteps fading into silence. The bed is soft, the sheets cool, but your mind drifts restlessly, replaying the images of the day. The glimmer of Versailles, the Louvre's glowing pyramid, the glittering tower rising above the Champ de Mars. They are beautiful, and yet they keep you awake, too alive in your thoughts to let you drift. You turn on your side, then on your back, but sleep does not come. Finally, you rise. The clock shows an hour well past midnight, a time when the city feels most secret, most itself. You dress lightly and step once more into the night. The air outside is cooler now, carrying with it the faint scent of river water and stone. The streets are quieter than ever, lanterns glowing in rows, casting soft halos onto the pavement. You walk without hurry, letting your steps find their own rhythm, until the sound of flowing water reaches you again. The Seine calls, as it always does, steady and eternal. You follow the curve of the river until you find a place you hadn't noticed before. A small bar clings to the embankment, its windows glowing golden against the dark. A single lantern hangs above the door, its light reflecting across the cobblestones, making them glisten as though dusted with stars. Music hums faintly from within, not loud, but soft and low. Jazz notes, slow and wandering, the kind of sound that feels like conversation with the night itself. You step inside, and the warmth embraces you immediately. The bar is intimate, lined with shelves of bottles that catch the candlelight in shades of amber, ruby and gold. A few people sit scattered along the counter and at tables, their voices a gentle murmur, blending with the music. You take a seat near the window, where you can see the river flowing quietly beyond the glass, the lamps from the bridges dancing in its ripples. The bartender, a man with kind eyes and a knowing smile, pours you a glass of wine without asking, as though he understands exactly what you need. The glass is cool in your hand, the liquid within deep and red, carrying the scent of sun-warmed vineyards. You take a sip, and the taste blooms across your tongue. Smooth, full, a flavour both grounding and expansive. You relax into the chair, the world slowing. It is then that someone approaches, a traveller, carrying the air of the road in his posture, in his eyes. He wears a jacket that seems worn by weather and time, and when he smiles, it is the smile of someone who has seen many places and carries them gently within. He asks if he might join you, and when you nod, he settles into the chair opposite, his presence unhurried, easy. He begins to speak, his voice calm, rich with the cadence of stories told often, not for performance, but for sharing. He tells you of wandering through the lavender fields of Provence, where the air is thick with fragrance and the hills roll endlessly beneath skies of blue. He speaks of Lyon, with its winding trabbles and its food that lingers on the tongue like a memory. He recalls the salt air of Brittany, where the tide stretches wide and gulls wheel above cliffs worn by centuries of wind. He tells of vineyards in Bordeaux, of markets in Nice, where stalls overflow with fruit and flowers, of villages in Alsace, where timber-framed houses lean over cobbled streets like old friends. As he speaks, you see it all. The colours, the scents, the sounds. They unfold in your mind, vivid and immediate. You are no longer only in Paris, but everywhere at once, carried by his words, as though travelling across the country in the span of an evening. The stories are not hurried. They wander like the jazz still playing softly in the background. You find yourself leaning closer, not wanting to miss a single detail. But there is no strain. His stories are not a flood, but a gentle river, one you can float along without effort. In listening, you feel a sense of belonging, of connection. The traveller speaks of France not as a list of places, but as a tapestry of moments, shared meals, sudden rainfalls, strangers' kindnesses, sunsets that leave the sky glowing long after the sun is gone. You realize that your own journey through Paris is part of this tapestry too, and that in hearing his stories, your steps in this city are joined to countless others. The thought warms you, settles you, eases the restlessness that had kept you awake. The wine in your glass lowers slowly, and outside the window, the Seine moves on, steady as ever. Time seems to stretch, then dissolve, until you are no longer aware of the hour. Eventually, the traveller finishes the story with a soft laugh, then grows quiet, his eyes reflecting the candlelight. He does not need to say more. The silence is enough, rich and full, like another kind of story shared. You thank him, and he smiles, raising his glass in a quiet toast before turning back to the counter, where another conversation waits. You step outside once more, the night air cool against your skin, the city even quieter now. The Seine glimmers beside you, its waters dark yet luminous, the reflections of the lamps quivering gently like fireflies. You walk slowly, your steps lighter than before, the cobblestones guiding you back through streets that feel both familiar and enchanted. The facades of houses lean quietly in the moonlight, balconies draped with flowers asleep until morning. A cat slips silently across your path, pausing for a moment to glance your way before disappearing into shadow. By the time you reach your room again, you feel a calm so deep it settles into your bones. The restlessness that had kept you from sleep has been replaced by a warmth, a sense of being held gently by the city and its stories. You slip inside, closing the door softly behind you. The bed is waiting, its sheets smooth and cool, and as you lower yourself onto it, the weight of your body sinks instantly into comfort. This time, there is no waiting. The moment your head touches the pillow, sleep comes to meet you, as if it has been walking beside you all along, simply waiting for the right moment to take your hand. The traveller's stories linger like an echo, gentle and steady, weaving through your thoughts as though they were part of your own memories. His words mingle with the lullaby of the Seine outside your window, its soft rhythm brushing against the banks like a heartbeat, steady and unhurried. Paris holds you, patient and timeless, and you allow yourself to fall into its embrace. As you sink into the quiet of your room, the journey you've taken through the city begins to unfurl in your mind like a tapestry. Each place you visited appears again, not in sharp detail, but as softened impressions, woven together into one continuous flow. You remember first arriving at the Louvre, the palace stretching wide with its golden-lit windows glowing against the violet sky. The glass pyramid shimmered like a lantern, fountains whispering nearby, and within, the treasures of centuries waited. Faces carved in marble, brushstrokes on canvas, wings frozen in eternal motion. You carry the stillness of that place with you, the way it reminds you that beauty endures no matter how time shifts and changes. From there, the memory of the Seine returns, its waters carrying you gently through the city's heart. You recall the way the bridges arched across the river like gestures of grace. The Pont Neuf steady with age, the Pont Alexandre III glittering in gold. The Eiffel Tower appeared then, rising out of the night in lacework iron and light, its reflection doubling in the ripples below. Later, the riverboat carried you past glowing facades, while inside you tasted the richness of a meal unlike any other. Escargot with garlic and butter, tender duck, delicate desserts. The scents of butter, wine, and the river itself became a harmony that lingered long after the last glass was emptied. Even now, in the hush before sleep, You can almost taste the faintest trace of it on your tongue. The path took you onward still. Notre-Dame, solemn and enduring, its towers shadowed against the stars, gargoyles watching with patient eyes. The Arc de Triomphe, standing proud and dignified, its arches like open arms, the carvings etched with centuries of courage and memory. Beneath it, the eternal flame flickered, a reminder of resilience. The café with its pastries and warm coffee, where voices in French rose like music around you, gave you comfort and warmth, as if Paris itself were leaning closer, inviting you to rest in its company. Montmartre rose above, cobblestones climbing towards Sacré-Cœur, white and luminous against the night sky. From there, the view of Paris stretched infinite, rooftops and rivers merging into a sea of light, as though the entire city were exhaling calm. Even beyond the city, your journey carried you to Versailles, its golden gates gleaming, the palace unfolding in endless rooms of mirrors and gilded detail. The gardens stretched outward, fountains leaping into the air, trees lined in perfect symmetry. Walking there, you felt the grandeur of history balanced with the serenity of open sky, a reminder of both human ambition and nature's quiet patience. Returning to Paris afterward, the contrast made the city feel even more intimate, more alive. And then there was the late night, when sleep seemed far away, and you wandered once more along the Seine. You found the quiet bar tucked along the river's edge, its lamps glowing amber, its doors open like an embrace. The traveller's stories filled the night. Tales of France beyond Paris, rolling vineyards, coastal cliffs, villages where shutters were painted in shades of blue and green. His words painted pictures you carried into your imagination, and somehow, though you were far from those places, you felt at home. That sense of belonging followed you back through the darkened streets, the Seine beside you like a companion, until at last you returned here, to your bed, your pillow, your rest. Now, lying here, all those moments fold together. The hush of the Louvre, the shimmer of the Seine, the iron lace of the Eiffel Tower, the solemnity of Notre-Dame, the warmth of the café, the grandeur of Versailles, the quiet blessing of Sacré-Cœur, the stories shared in the bar by the river. They are no longer separate pieces but part of a single melody, one that plays softly inside you. Each note is gentle, each phrase steady, each pause filled with silence that feels like peace. The weight of the day drifts from you. Your body grows heavy, your breath deepens, your mind loosens its hold on thought. You are wrapped in the memory of the city, in its calm, its beauty, its eternal rhythm. Paris does not vanish when your eyes close. It remains steady and timeless, a part of you now. You know it will be waiting whenever you wish to return, but for tonight, it cradles you as you drift into sleep. You exhale slowly, surrendering to the quiet. The Seine continues to murmur outside, its lullaby constant, unbroken. The stories, the sights, the sounds, all soften until they dissolve into dream. And in that dream, Paris holds you still, a gentle hand upon your heart, carrying you deeper and deeper into rest. Sleep surrounds you, deep, unbroken, complete.